Hey everyone, and then there were two. Jim Gavin has announced he has withdrawn from the Irish presidential, inverted commas, race. This is just farce, just keeps going on and on and on in Ireland. This is just shambolic. But it's come on the light of events regarding Jim Gavin when he was a landlord of a property that he wasn't registered, and the tenant claimed that over €3,300 was overpaid to Gavin, and he never repaid it. But of course, Gavin, on mature recollection, did not remember it. Of course, typical Fianna Fáil. We all remember that with a previous Fianna Fáil politician on mature recollection. But Gavin came out with a statement to state that the office must be untouched by controversy or distraction. And he said he made a mistake, and this has had an impact on his family and friends, and he's withdrawn from the contest. Now, this is the latest shambolic incidents in what's taken place in Irish society in terms of the presidential selection. Of course, there was a blocking of many independent candidates to go forward for this election, and it became a closed shop in terms of the establishment. Already there's a big campaign underway, and there was a big protest on Dublin on Saturday around the Spoil My Vote campaign as well, and I'm sure this is going to gather momentum over the coming number of weeks. Now, there's only two candidates left, Catherine Connolly and Heather Humphreys, for President of Ireland. It just goes on and on and on. Let's see who's left standing at the end of this farcical contest. Now, of course, Gavin was anointed into that position by Micheál Martin, much against the wishes of many in the Fianna Fáil party. Of course, there was a contest when Billy Kelleher went up against him, and 40% of the members of the Fianna Fáil parliamentary party voted for Billy Kelleher. And of course, Bertie Ahern himself had his nose knocked out of the joint because he didn't get the nomination or the nod by Micheál Martin. But he went for the ex-Dublin GA manager as a celebrity candidate, and he's been racked with scandals and controversies over the last number of weeks in terms of the issues around the drones. We all remember about those drones flying in the park. And of course, he is the Chief Operations Officer of the Irish Aviation Authority himself, and his comments on Israel to say the military objectives had been met, he thought. And of course, many more farcical episodes of Jim Gavin over the last number of weeks. I just, for the life of me, cannot understand why he put himself forward in the first instance for this role, but God knows, Irish society is just off the wall in terms of political life and the allure of power for these people. Over 500,000 was probably spent by Fianna Fáil on this. And of course, Micheál Martin's leadership is definitely going to come under serious pressure now and serious question. I think this is the final nail in the coffin for Micheál Martin around what's taking place. But let's see how this develops over the next period of time, because a lot of these front benchers with Fianna Fáil all fully supported them. And of course, Jack Chambers, as Minister for Public Expenditure, was his Director of Elections. And this has major ramifications for him and his leadership ambitions, because Martin put him into position to take over when Martin was finally going to step down, probably in a couple of years' time. But this has been sped up quite dramatically following the revelations today around Gavin resigning or withdrawing from the contest. Now, he has said, Martin has said it's a correct decision, and he said he made an error in relation to the issue, and he said that he will make it Gavin will make a significant contribution to our life and society into the future. Let's see how that develops over time. Of course, Martin will face his own serious pressure. Of course, Gavin is still on the ballot paper, which is interesting. And of course, his votes will be non-transferable. So if people put a 1 for Jim Gavin, it'll be non-transferable to anybody else in terms of transfers if they were add on 2 or 3 as well. And this has constitutional ramifications because, for instance, if Gavin was to win the contest, surprisingly, it would be, he could not take the oath of office under Article 12.8, and he would have to vacate the position, and it would be a fresh election called. So this has really created a massive, massive political crisis here in Ireland, and a constitutional crisis as well in what's taken place across Ireland, which shows the shambolic and anti-democratic nature of the political system in Ireland. There should be fresh elections called. There should be a general election called. But again, what will change with this general election? It's all sewn up in terms of the political parties and the establishment in Ireland, in terms of the media as well. And people don't see a real strong alternative to what's taken place in Irish society. It's up to people to unite around a big, strong alternative that puts the needs of our people first, stands up for our sovereignty, our independence, stands up for the needs of our citizens in terms of taking back democratic control over our daily lives in the direction of our proud country here in Ireland. But of course, this is all neglected by the political establishment, who are more interested in siding up to Brussels. Gavin, the same, was pushing this warmongering agenda, like Heather Humphreys will be the same. And of course, we all know about this other woke stuff and culture wars that's going on in Irish society as well, which is absolutely nonsense, but it's part of a bigger globalist agenda, not to mention the big serious issues coming up in terms of the budget. And it's going to be more tax breaks for developers, more kickbacks to the very wealthy in society, cuts to salaries for big international learners here in Ireland as well, or cuts to taxes for those international learners as well, and more tax breaks for big business and VAT cuts for the big multinationals as well, not for the ordinary working class and ordinary people who are being crucified with what's taking place in Irish society. But this is what's taking place. It's absolutely farcical, it's shambolic. It needs to start again from the ground up in Ireland, because this system is just corrupt to the core, and it's not really surprising. Gavin, with his own misgivings and misdealings himself, was nominated for a position with the party of the Galway 10th, but it has major ramifications for Martin. I'd argue he's finished as a political leader in Ireland as well. And let's see how this develops over the next period of time. I'm sure the fallout will be big ramifications in Irish society, but you know, changing the chairs in the Titanic won't really achieve much unless we change the complete direction of the ship we're on. So thanks a lot for the support. Please press subscribe to my channel, and please, thanks so much to everybody who's supporting me through Buy Me a Coffee as well. I'm very grateful for all your kind and generous support. Take care, slán go fóill. Bye bye.